G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who are going to bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. We're here for the trade and free agency recap, and today I'm joined by Jordy DeSena. We're recording on a Thursday morning. This is a bit of a treat. What's going on, mate?
Yeah, it is.
It's all right, keep going.
Yeah, pretty good. Just, off season's been great. I've been on leave at work for 3 weeks, so it's good to come in on a Thursday morning and record a pod.
Yeah, bloody oath. It's good to have a bit of leave from a bit of time off, bit of rest and respite. You doing anything with it? Anything interesting?
Yeah, so, this Arvo, I'll be hitting a train again, and I've got a couple of trains booked in, so lots of gigs. So when you say you hit a train and you got a train booked in, what does that mean? I'll basically play gigs on the train. So in the carriages, I'll play 30 minutes acoustic every carriage, which... It's so awesome. I get to see the country as well.
Yeah.
And
so for like people going on a train on a holiday, people that don't fly, people that go across the Nullarbor and things like that, is that right?
Pretty much. The outback, there's lots of stops out there. So yeah, I love it. And been doing that. But yeah, go there tonight. So Thursday morning recording a pod, which is awesome.
Yeah, sweet. Get that done and then jump on a train in the afternoon. Sounds like the life, mate. So has that been the off season for you so far? Just working, doing gigs and taking some time off work?
Pretty much. I think that week with the fantasy stuff, had that week off, but then obviously it's hard to stick away from it. So I was still looking at the scores and in the finals and, doing those captain's challenges and all those things. And recently I've been getting footy numbers and Gridley up and just keeping busy.
I should have the footy numbers slide behind you instead of the Keeper League one there, but that's all right. No, that's good. I kind of checked out for the finals fantasy-wise. I watched every game but one, I think, of the finals, but just took no notice to fantasy and it was kind of nice. But as soon as the trade period kicked in, I was all in it again. Like, I was about it. I was pretty keen. I was thinking about what the effect's going to be. So, you give me 3 or 4 weeks off and then I probably realised I got fuck all else in my life to do, apart from maybe my family to hang out with. And so, we just get back into it because, it's kind of, I guess it is work these days. But, So we're here to talk about the trade period recap, which we'll go through every trade in a second that happened over the period. But just want to give the membership a bit of a plug as we head into the off-season. So basically still working on lots of things in the off-season. The other day I put up some draftee data for all members. So you can essentially pick any of I think I've put the top 40 that I think are going to get drafted, and you can click on their names and get all their stats, game by game breakdown, what they scored in all the different leagues and all their averages and stuff like that there. So you can, just have a look at it and see what they're like. I know a lot of the time we've given averages, but never every single game that they've played in. So you can actually see their scores. So that's up there. I might, if I remember, I'll put a link to it in the description, but it's all over the socials, the Keeper League socials. But also if you just go to Premium Resources, AFL Draft and Draftee Data, you will get that out. Have you had a chance to check that out?
I have. I saw that you post that, and I
know Maddie was your brother was pretty keen on it.
I think he posted that straight away. So I have had a little look and looking at already who to take, I think, next year. Yeah,
so we'll get into that. There's a question about that a bit later about the draftees. But a few other things. I've rebuilt the mock draft simulator as well, which is pretty much ready to go. I'll release it early next year, but I'm just testing it now and making sure everything functions so there'll be no issues when it does come out. So the way I've kind of changed it, like last year you could remove the keepers, but it was a super clunky process to do it. There was like a big list and you had to pick them from drop downs or whatever. Now you can just type your keepers in and it kind of comes up as a selection thing. And you can do it for each team in like these kind of pop-up boxes. So it's all on one page. It's really easy to actually use. Then they get assigned to their teams, put in their positions, all that sort of stuff. But now you can also customize the draft order. So if there's any trades in your league, you can kind of just go through and switch the picks around. But the big thing I think for the mock draft simulator built in is you can actually save multiple drafts now. So you can set up a league with all the teams in it, all the keepers, all the draft order, hit save. When you come back to it, you can load it back up. But you can also create another draft as well. So if you're in 3 or 4 leagues and you want to do mock draft for each one, you can kind of do that now, and they all save to your account in the Keeper League website, and so hopefully that helps people with their mock drafting and choosing who they're going to pick. So
I love the mock draft simulator.
Yeah, so that's the kind of main update to that one. I've also come up with a new thing that's going to be released pretty early next year. It's the individual ranking tool, which is like the community ranking tool. but instead you can do one for yourself. So you keep your own list and it's not affected by all the other users on the website. That'll only be available to gold members next season, but it's also got a few added features. So there's like a compare feature. So like you can choose to keep for people that haven't used the mock draft. Sorry, haven't used the community rankings. It gives you 3 players to choose from each week. Each week. It gives you 3 players to choose from every time it pops up, and you kind of select who you'd rather pick out of those 3, and then organizes your ranks from there. You can do things like keep a player on the screen. So you could go Jagger Smith and go, all right, who do I compare to Jagger Smith? Like, do I pick Nick Dacos or Jagger Smith? I'd pick Nick Dacos. But do I pick Chad Warner or Jagger Smith? Maybe I'd pick Jagger Smith over that. So that's kind of the idea behind it. But you can also isolate the ranks. I only want to focus on my top 100. There's also a drag and drop feature where you can just manually move your ranks around. So heaps of ranking stuff to help you out for your leagues as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so a few features there. So yeah, if you want to support the show, like I'm always working on this sort of stuff throughout the off season to like make it easier for you guys, I guess, to draft your keeper league teams and choose your keepers and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to support, please sign up as a member. Otherwise, there might come a time where I have to go back to working full time and can't do all this stuff on a weekly basis. So yeah, if you want to support it, there's a link in the description below. I think a gold membership is as little as $6 a month if you want to sign up. So yeah, link in the description below. Please help out. Anyways, let's get into the trade period. The first one we've got is Jack Silvani to St Kilda. Any initial thoughts on this one?
I think it's for Saints' defense is pretty good, I think. Obviously, they targeted him. Fantasy-wise, I don't really see him going too much there. Maybe he's a few points upside from what he could do.
Yeah.
Because of the Saints' game style. Obviously, it's a bit more friendlier than, I would say, in the back half than Carlton.
Yep.
My initial thoughts is maybe he could be a D5, a bit of depth in a keeper.
Yeah. My thoughts are his highest average over his whole career is 69, you know. And I was actually thinking, like, if Marone Marshall went, he might get that backup ruck time. Like, he's done a bit of that at Carlton and stuff like that, but they've stuck together now, so he's not getting that. So I can only see a 60 average, so I'm pretty happy to just to kind of... He'll definitely be picked up in your keeper leagues. Like, you've got to play him somewhere. He might be a bench option, maybe,
and he's going to play,
maybe a D5, but
yeah,
I don't think he's one to get super excited about. What about James Worpel to Geelong? Like, I found this one a little bit odd, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so, because I think, like you said, Tom Atkins is a pretty similar player.
Yeah.
Atkins is 30 years old and Worpel's 26, so maybe they're looking... I think he signed a 4-year deal there.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously, he's from Geelong, so he has ties there.
Yeah.
He was, I think, he's recruited from there, so obviously there's a bit of factor there. Fantasy-wise, I don't know... Like, could he fit in with an 80 average, or would it be less?
What did he go last year? I can't remember. Was it? It was high 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was around that.
A few subs and things like that involved there.
I think it's a bit of depth. It's probably going to help, you Smith and Holmes. They're obviously the two guys. But it's, Atkins is like the leading tackle.
Yeah, exactly.
He plays a really good role. So
does he play less time in the midfield now? Or are they just looking for a more contested? Like, I don't really get it. So I think Atkins might be affected if Worpel goes in there more. Or does Worpel play like a mid-forward role like he used to play when he was younger and maybe get forward status back? I don't really know. But I don't think it's going to be great for Worpel. I think best case, you probably just get the same as you're getting Hawthorn. Could be slightly worse for Atkins if he spends less time in the midfield. That's my thoughts. Who do you think benefits at Hawthorn?
So I think the obvious candidates that a lot of people are thinking is your McKenzie and your Huswaite.
Yeah.
My brother reckons Josh Weddle as a sneaky guy to go
in
inside.
The midfield. Yeah, okay. He's a Hawthorn supporter.
A Hawthorn supporter.
Yeah.
He messaged me this morning. He goes, I reckon Weddle.
Yeah.
And Sam Mitch has always got little things up his sleeve. But I think McKenzie, obviously a first round pick, you think it's going to be him. Will Day was obviously injured, so hopefully he can get a full year.
Yeah.
And I'm still pretty hot on Josh Ward. I think that game against the Crows in the finals, that was an unreal game. He's if he can get more consistency.
Yeah.
So I think that might be all right to cover him.
Yeah, maybe Ward is the big bump there, but he's already kind of broken out, but maybe he gets that next level without him there. And then McKenzie maybe just get more of a look in to the midfield. Yeah, I don't mind that. Huswaite's interesting though. 99 VFL average last season, so he could be the next one to come in. But Will Day's got to come back into that side as well. It's going to be
hopefully he's fit. Yeah.
Yeah. Tom de Koning went to St Kilda, averaged 85.7 last season. I don't know what to make of this now with Marshall staying. Like, now it's going to be a ruck forward split. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, and I need to look at, because obviously there's that ruck rule change.
Yeah.
And there's the 5 on the bench now.
Yeah.
So I really need to look into how that's going to affect, because I think they've obviously targeted TDK before this ruck rule. I think they had a feeling that this was coming in.
Yeah, okay.
And how they can use him.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, it's sort of killed both rucks.
Fantasy-wise anyway. It's probably going to be good for them football-wise. But yeah, like one will play forward, one will play in the ruck, and they'll probably rotate there, and it'll probably be pretty handy for them to have those focal points. But fantasy-wise, they're just not going to get... No one's going to get that bulk time around the middle, I don't think. So kills kind of both of them. Sam Draper to Brisbane. I think this is going to be a massive one for next season. So he only played, what, was it 5 games this season?
5 games.
5
right.
games.
Yep.
Got forward status, and there's no way he can lose that for next season, because that's what you're judging him on for this season. So he's going to have forward status. McInerney's retired.
Yep.
They'll probably play forward, although they've picked up Oscar Allen, so maybe they won't. Like, Sam Draper is probably going to be like one of the best forwards in the competition if he can stay fit next season, don't you think?
I agree. I think he's a really good option. Those 5 games, average 82.
Yeah.
So could he go to a 90 ruck?
Yeah.
Like be these sort of meek types? Like,
he could, man. Like
90, and he's going to be a forward. So I think he's a really good pick. 4 isn't, that young. Like, he's obviously been around a while. He's at a lot of clubs. So I think it's a pretty good... And like Oscar Allen can just sort of chop out in the ruck
correct.
when he
needs
needs to. So
he's done that at West Coast.
He's done at West Coast. So I think he's a Sam Draper. I don't know with his Achilles if he's ready to go round 1 or anything. But if he is, even so, I think he's a great pickup for next year.
I think it's great too. And I just think if you've got him and you aren't contending, though, he could be a good kind of value trade for this season, because he'll be one of the best forwards. It's so handy to have a good forward, and if your ruck gets in, you can throw them forward as well, like that versatility as well. So if I think if you've got him and you don't think you're going to win it this season, it could be a very good trade option for you to get rid of them. Anyway, Jacob Ware to Port Adelaide. I don't know. I just don't see him doing much from a fantasy perspective. It's probably more interesting as to... we probably should have mentioned that with Sam Draper as well. What do you think happens at Essendon? Do you think Brian is just the number 1 ruck when he comes back because Goldstein's gone? Yeah,
I'm pretty keen on Brian. I think he's... I'm going to try and target him in keepers.
Yeah.
I think he might be... They're saying early season, so maybe by gather rounds, he might. So I think they're going to roll out Vicentini.
Yeah.
And apparently Blackiston's going to do a heavy ruck pre-season.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that might
be... He did a little bit last year.
Yeah, I think that might be their cover until Brian is ready to go.
Yeah. That's the annoying part, though. If you want to target Brian, you need to make sure you get...
Yes.
You need to pick up 2 extra players, Vicentini and Blackiston, just so you don't have a donut for those first 5 rounds, ruining your whole season type thing. So that's I hate it when that is the case, when you have to actually use up 2 list spots just to make sure you got cover. It's a bit annoying. Anyway, sorry, back to Jacob Ware to Port Adelaide. It's kind of a similar boat, though. I think it affects people around him more than it affects him, you know what I mean? So, like, Port obviously need outside speed. We need wingers. We've had Travis Boak playing on the wing pretty much for the last 12 months.
Yep.
We start Ollie Wines, we start Willem Drew there, and they roll into the midfield from there. But I think Carr has identified that we genuinely need real wingers that play outside, and he was probably the best we could get for free, Jacob Ware, anyway. But I don't see him doing much fantasy-wise. He could barely break the team at GWS. Plus, like, wingers just don't score anymore. So, yeah, I guess the thing is, like, does it push someone like Jace Burgoyne to half back? I personally think we'll probably play Burgoyne and Ware on the wings, probably, unless he does revert to that kind of old style. So, I don't think it actually probably does too much in terms of Port structure either. It's basically Boak out, Ware in, I think. Do you reckon that's a fair assessment?
I think it's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
And Burgoyne is that interesting one, isn't he? Like, we need another half back or a defender. But
well, I guess we could talk about Will Brodie next as further down the list, but like, he's probably going to be someone I think that keeps Rosie on half back and comes in as like the 4th stringer or something like that.
And I think that's good.
Yeah. Do you think Will Brodie is going to be a fantasy type though? Like, I know he averaged at 95, but I don't know. My numbers could have been it was hard to explain, but like, I've got this old query that I got this query that I used for CBA numbers this season, and I just changed it to 2022 and pulled it in. There might have been an error in there or something, but if I'm not mistaken, and the numbers looked okay when I looked at them individually, he had over 60%. Will Brodie had over 60% CBAs at Fremantle in that 2022 year, and averaged 95. He's not going to be doing that at Port, no.
Surely not.
Nah.
Like, I think you're right. Like a fourth stringer. I saw a tweet from Trade Radio and Jason Cripps, the list manager. He said he will play inside mid.
Yeah.
And he will rotate with Wines and Drew.
Yeah.
As that depth.
Yeah.
So that, like you said, I think means Rosie will play a bit more halfback. But to do 95, 60%, I think he's going to be in there. Can he do a 70 average?
Yeah, probably.
Or could he be you know how everyone was quite hot on Peatling this year? I feel like he could be that sort of, he averaged about 75, bit of mid-time.
The thing with Peatling, though, he got forward status. That's the only thing that really saved him, made him valuable. Will Brodie, like, if there was any chance of Will Brodie playing any other position than midfield, he'd be playing for Fremantle right now. But he's just like an inside midfielder only, and he was like the 5th or 6th best one. Well, he was the one that had no versatility. Like, they'd play Jago Mira because he could play back and forward and that sort of stuff. Like, so I don't know. I'm not hot on Will Brodie. I think the salary cappers are very happy because he's like bargain basement price and all that sort of stuff.
I'll be picking him.
Yeah, especially in Supercoach, he'd be nothing.
He'd be cheap.
Yeah. But I'm not sold for draft and keep league. But where were we up to? Where Charlie Spargo at North Melbourne. Do you see anything of note here for either Melbourne or North Melbourne with him in?
Yeah, I'm not really a Spargo. Yeah, he's not a guy that I really would target in a keeper for me.
Like I think at North Melbourne, he's got more of a chance of being the guy that delivers inside 50 rather than like a pressure forward type guy. I think that's what he said. Like he didn't like the role he had at Melbourne. He wanted to play further up the ground, be more attacking. I can see him boosting his score a little bit, but if you're only averaging like 50s, what does it matter?
And he's not like that guy that you can stream or kicks goals, I don't think.
Yeah, I remember one of his first few games. He was like had a big score, and it was like, well, this guy could actually be okay. But then, he's not that type. Unless I think he will improve, but I don't think it's going to be anything of note. One of those players that you pick up with the last picks for your forward bench or even just reserves option because you know that he'll play each week. I think that's probably the case with him. Liam Reedy went to Carlton. Now, I'm willing to give him a shot. What are your thoughts between the Reedy and Pitnet and who plays number one? I don't think either of them plays forward very well, so I'm not sure if they're going to split it. What do you think happens with Reedy? Yeah,
I think you're right. Willing to give him a shot too. I think Pitnet, you would think would be the guy around one, just with his experience. But I think Pitnet's not on the like his age wise. He's not getting any younger really. So I think Reedy's going to get some games next year. And would you handcuff, like, if you did go the Pitnet option,
you're gonna
get Reedy, handcuff him?
You're going to have to handcuff him for sure, because I think there will be either Pitnet gets injured or something like that, but I reckon there'll just be like a period where they're like, all right, we're going to give you 6 weeks to show us what you got type thing. I reckon it'd be one of those situations, kind of like what Port did with Dante Vicentini this year as well. Like, I reckon there'll be a time next season where he just gets a bit of a shot, and he averaged 100 in the waffle last year. So, and that's a hard league to score in usually as well. So there might be something there for Reedy, and yeah, I'd be willing just to take him a bit later on in drafts and have a bit of a flyer at someone who could potentially become a good ruckman, because Pitnet is 29, probably going to be 30 this year, I assume. Yeah. By next season. So yeah, he could be the next one in for him. Malcolm Roses Jr. to Sydney. I don't reckon I could pick him out of a lineup. I don't think he's a small forward. I can see him playing, but I think he's probably the Will Hayward replacement, maybe, if that's why he's there. Yeah. And that's probably the only reason he might score. Will probably score less than Will Hayward because he's probably a lesser player, and that's all I've got to say on that matter.
Not for me either, I think.
Sam Flanders, I reckon, is probably the biggest trade of the off season. So he averaged 107 a couple years ago. Played as an inside mid and then defender those years. It was mainly the defensive stuff where he did the bulk of his scoring. Yep. But he still scored okay as a midfielder. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So it's probably not going to be as big as the 2024 season was last year. Yeah. But he's going to play as a mid inside mid at St Kilda, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think he's going to be the second guy. I think Nas is number one, and then it's Flanders, and they've moved on Jack Steele. So I think that just shows that they want to move him in there. And then you've still got like your McRae's, and I think McRae's just going to be that low tog guy with that 5 bench.
Yeah.
I think Flanders is your second banana.
I don't even know if McRae's best 22. It's like, I feel like by the end of the season, like Ross is weird like that. Like I reckon he just has people that are out of favour, and then it's very hard to come back from there. I was listening to a podcast with Tom Sheridan, which was very funny, but I won't elaborate. But yeah, you could tell that they were like, Ross is like cooked like when it comes to, and he just pulls all the shots at St Kilda as well. Like he has complete administrative, like has control over everything, the coaching and that sort of stuff as well. And I reckon McRae's probably one of those guys that's just he might play forward, but that's probably about it, I reckon. And his scoring days are probably over. We'll talk about the Steele trade a bit later, but I reckon there's a few things that are affected there. But I think at least with Flanders, he's recruited to play midfield, and he'll score pretty well next season, I think.
Yeah, he's going to push. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Sheasel as a forward.
Yeah.
So I think Flanders is probably your second.
Yeah, F2.
F2.
Yeah, for the season.
If you told me Flanders could be F1, I could see a world where that happens as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And he reminds me a bit about that Torano when he moved to Richmond. He was playing that sort of forward role, moved to Richmond and went, 110?
Yeah. Could do it. Yeah.
So I wouldn't write it off.
If you've got Flanders, you've got forward status next season, you're going to be very, very happy. Judd McVie went to Fremantle. He was my boy last year, but I'm not getting sucked in again. So the thing with McVie is like he had that end of season, which, in hindsight, he played in the midfield at the end of the 2023 season, and you're just kind of like, oh, well, maybe he's got a bit of a future as a midfielder. But you got to remember that, like, I think Oliver was out at the time. Petracca was out with the chest, the sternum thing, whatever it was, spleen thing, sorry. So like, for me, it was more that like he's a good user of the footy. So like, surely that will translate eventually to using the ball off half back. But then Bowie came into the side. Salem just remained not injured. And the thing with McVie, he's just a very, very good lockdown defender. And even though he's a good user of the footy, the other guys in defence can't lock down like he can. And so that was the reason why he was so bad in fantasy this season. And I don't see that changing at Fremantle. Like, they've already got, your Ryans, you've got your Clarks off halfback, that sort of stuff. They've got their kind of distributors off halfback. They need a good lockdown defender. Like, they've played, I think Walker was the guy for a while. I reckon he's just the perfect fit for that defensive line in a defensive capacity, in a no way attacking capacity. So yeah.
I agree. It might actually help like a Jordan Clark be more attacking.
Yeah, correct.
Because he won't have defenders hard.
Yeah.
So that could be maybe we finally see Clark pushing that 9,500 average.
No, agree. So Judd McVie's not on my fantasy radar, but it could be good for someone like Clark or something like that. Starcevic to West Coast, like he's there for the leadership, right? Like I don't see him scoring really anything differently. He's not going to go into the midfield or do anything like that. Nah. He's just going to be a halfback general for him. He's a
very, very good player.
Yeah.
Obviously, that plays his role amazingly and premiership player, but fantasy-wise.
Do you think it affects anyone at Brisbane? Like, my first thoughts is when Answorth comes back from injury. What do you have, an ankle or something, Achilles or something?
Yeah, I think
is that 12 months though?
Yeah.
So he's only going to come back mid-season, is that right? It was about mid-season when he did it. Does someone like Wilmot have to play more defensive? Because when I look at those defensive players, like I could see Kadeen Coleman coming in and playing Wilmot's role, and I can see Wilmot being a really good defender. Like he has been a good defender in the past, but they've kind of haven't needed him with someone like Starcevic and Leicester in the side to kind of do those smaller defensive jobs. That's just my thoughts, Matt. Yeah. Like maybe we see Wilmot impacted. What do you reckon?
I think so. I think they'll cover it somewhere. Like they also got Duday there. I don't know. They drafted him. I don't know whether he's could fill the role, but I think you're right. I think they might switch the magnets around a little bit. The thing is, Wilmot finished the season unreal.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know. That's what I mean. And yeah, like so did Fletcher in that halfback line as well. Like it's going to be really interesting, especially like when they bring in like, a few of their academy players as well. It's going to be interesting. But I think, I don't think Starcevic is actually going to do anything from a fantasy perspective. So he's probably one we can probably just leave there, but keep a watch on what happens at Brisbane. Speaking of Brisbane, Oscar Allen went there. Like key forwards are coming back in a way. I feel like last year we had kind of breakouts from Thilthorpe and Darcy, which were two of them exciting. Jeremy Cameron had a career year in terms of there was talk of him not fantasy kicking 100 type thing. Like that was actually on the cards for a while there. So
he kicked 90 odd goals.
Yeah, like I'm not saying Oscar Allen's going to be a viable option that you'd want to be fielding each week, but I could see him being like better than he was at West Coast. You know what I mean? Like
he's going to get way more supply.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. He's going to be their main focal point. Yeah. I guess like the other thing is like, do you see like someone like Logan Morris? Like, is he is he helped by this or is he hindered by this? Does he get the second best defender now and he's a bit freer, or does he just get less supply and he's less the target?
I think he could be better because right now he's still a young player. I think he's been getting the number one defender, and I mean, you've got Hipwood and these guys out, but I think it's only going to help Morris moving forward because, he's not going to get I would not assume he's going to get the number one guy.
Yeah,
They're going to go to Allen.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, that could be the case. Like, it's always iffy with those. Like, I wonder this every year, every time someone recruits a new key forward. And to be honest, like, we talk about this sort of stuff every year, and usually it doesn't really affect too much anyway. So I think we overthink that sort of stuff from time to time. But again, that's just another watch to see how things kind of piece together at Brisbane. Liam Ryder saying Kilda, he's never averaged outside of the 50, so I just don't see that changing. And I don't see West Coast kicking enough goals for anyone to slot into his role and become viable anyway. So I think we'll just skip that one. Max Heath's kind of interesting to Melbourne. So, like, why did Melbourne get him? They've got Campbell in the wings. Is he the Max Gawn replacement? They see him of the future. They've got Kalani White, I think, coming through as a... is he drafted this year or next year? The next year, I reckon.
Yep. So
maybe Max Heath. He's only 22 years old, sorry.
I think it's a good get for him because Melbourne never had any depth. I think he can play forward as well, Max Heath.
Yeah.
So he could be that chop-out guy to help Gawn moving forward. Whether he's the future ruck, I don't know.
Yeah.
And Melbourne have now got high draft picks. There's talk maybe they might move up the draft. There's that really, obviously, Cooper, Duff, Tyler.
Yeah.
I wonder if they,
try...
Tytler. There you go.
It's got me so many times. Yeah.
Whether they try and, draft someone like that in the future. But I think he's going to potentially get some games. They could just play him forward as a chop out.
Yeah. Well,
Gawn.
What's Gawn? Is Gawn going to be 35, 36 at the end of this season?
34 maybe, yeah.
34. I don't know. Do you think he retires at the end of this year? Like,
I think he's got 2 years on his deal.
Yeah, okay. So he's got a while. But even then, like, these guys,
33.
He's 33 now. He'll be 30. Oh, he'll be 34 by this season, 35 by the end of next season, end of next year. The thing is, like, even though they take these young draftees, they're 3 or 4 years away from doing anything. If Max Heath comes in, plays enough forward, gets forward status, they use him as a key forward, whatever, gets 2 or 3 years as a number one ruck, it could be a pretty handy thing to have, like, as a stash, a long-term stash option. So, like, if you're in those deep dynasties, last pick, and Max Heath's still on the board, like, I think you can do worse than throw a pick at it type thing. My check to Melbourne. Melbourne aren't going to have the midfield to really deliver it to him, so I can't really see him really improving at all. At Collingwood, they've just recruited Jack Buller, so do you think that's just a plug in and play there straight in? Yeah.
Not fantasy relevant, really.
Yeah, none of it is fantasy relevant, really. Most of it isn't. Corey Durden, speaking of being not fantasy relevant, is not for me. Like,
Was this random?
I had no idea where this came from.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a pity pick. Like, I don't know, he just wants to come
I just
home.
feel like I've got notifications. Oh, we've got Durden now.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about it.
I honestly forgot he was. I would have sworn he was delisted like a year ago. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. He was a good midfielder as a junior, but he's kind of been converted into a small forward, and that's always a warning sign, I think, from both fantasy and probably real football perspective. Very rarely do they do it, I guess. Jack Higgins probably the exception, but he's naturally built like a small forward, and he was a midfielder as a junior. So, probably one I'm leaving alone. Ben Ainsworth to Carlton. This is probably less interesting now. Hayward is at them because I wrote this out before that trade actually happened. But do you think he plays a wing or a forward? Because he's kind of played both those roles at Gold Coast. And I think he's kind of wanted out knowing Petracca's coming because he's like a mid-forward.
It's like the same role,
half-forward role type thing. But Carlton rotated a lot of wingers this year. They actually dropped Akers after a while. They gave Camporeale a go. They gave Jackson Binns a go. Cooper Lord is the one that they've got. And is he like maybe the answer to Elijah Hollands just falling off the face of the earth? What do you think?
I think his best role is that half forward pushing up. I think he's really like he's a gun player. Yeah, that's it. I think he would Hollands out. I think that's his preferred role. I think there's a few players like Carlton have also picked up a Florent and a Chesser. Yeah. And do they go to the wing and then Ainsworth just plays that connector forward role, which I think is his best role.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I see him going. And I think if, like you said, Humphrey and Petracca there, so he's obviously wanting he obviously feels like that's the position that's, could be hindered. So I think half forward.
He's 27 years old. Like, I seem to remember, 2022, 2023, he was like a mid-70s guy playing on a forward. It was more when he started to play up the wing, he kind of suffered a bit. Like, he could be a sneaky 70 guy as a forward this year. So I'm not hating that one, I think. So, maybe that's the go there. And then, like I said, they've recruited other wingers. Like you said, Florent's going to play full-time wing. He's probably going to average in the 70s as well. So, like, I think he's a half forward and plays that connector, and that's his best role for fantasy. And probably just with the new club bump, gets to the 70 mark, I reckon. Campbell Chess, like, it's so clear that Carlton have just targeted outside speed, though. Outside players. They got Chesser, they got Florent, Ainsworth can play on a wing.
Yep.
Like, there's so many they've got there. Chesser had a few 70 scores this season at Carlton, but I feel like you just need more than that if he's going to play on a wing, don't you?
Yeah, it was pretty good because I think he went 70, 80, 80 or something. Yeah. 38 last 4 games of the year, which is pretty good. I thought Chesser would be locked on that wing, but now that they've got Florent, it sort of changes my mind of who they're actually going to play there. Yeah. Because you think Florent would be the first pick.
Oh, man, it's crazy. Like, you think about their team makeup, though, as well. Because my thoughts were, like, Sam Walsh comes back, so he goes back in the midfield. That pushes someone like Lord out to a wing as well. Suddenly, they've gone from having no wingers. And, like, I think Akers is just, like, out the door as well. Like, what's he going to do? Like, he's kind of finished.
And they probably want to play Jagger Smith off his ACL.
Yeah, there's, like,
mid-forward
so many options in that midfield. So I really can't pick it. But I think Campbell Chesham, like, I'm willing to, if I was a betting man, I'd say he probably won't come on as a fantasy type, regardless of what he does. Looking at West Coast, though, like, who plays that wing role? Like, by the end of the season, like, Campbell Chesser was the wing guy, but they rotated so many through there. Does this affect someone like Marek on the wing at West Coast? Like,
maybe he goes up more. Yeah, I liked him as that distributor for fantasy, Marriage, which is awesome. But then they just moved into the wing.
And McCarthy came in and did that. But then McCarthy's playing midfield. Like, I don't think West Coast really know what they're doing with their players, but they're just trying things. But I don't know. I tend to just steer clear of West Coast players because it's so unpredictable as to what they can produce. Tyler Young to West Coast, key defender. Who cares?
Pick 38, quite high, I thought.
Yeah, wasn't it? Is he a mid-season draftee? Can't remember.
I think so.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know. He played a key defensive role. He wasn't really playing for... Was he playing for Richmond? Richmond, the team
here
I watched
and there,
the least. Yeah. I don't care. Move on. We talked about Will Brodie and his impact.
How about pick 103?
Yeah, value. Or what is it? Or did we just give away a pick? The pick's probably not likely going to be used. I don't think. So, it doesn't really matter. Brian Fiorini to Essendon. Now, I was way more excited about this at the start of the trade period, as I am now, really. Like, he averaged 86.8 last season on the wing at Gold Coast. And my thoughts was like, does he go inside at Essendon? They'll lose merit. Yep. Maybe he gets a chance inside. But then you look at their makeup, and now it doesn't even matter that merit's there. But if you look at their makeup, like, apart from Dersma, they've got no real wingers. I think they were playing, by the end of the season, they're playing Luau, Menzies, a little bit of Clark, but then Clark looked back on half back. El Hawley played a bit of wing. Like, Dersma was like the locked-in guy on one side. And then it felt like they just needed someone else on the other wing, and it just fits so perfectly that Fiorini just goes to that other wing now that I look at it, don't you think?
Yeah, they target him straight away. So, but him to do 86 on a wing, that's pretty good fantasy-wise.
If you watch him, like, he just floats around and gets into spots. So, like, I think he still probably goes about 80 to 85 at Essendon.
And that's like a perfect M5, M6 area in a keeper.
I'd like have a few concerns because they're like the Gold Coast midfield was very good. They could win their own footy and then they could kind of distribute a bit from there. So it might not be the same case where they're like possessing the ball as much like at Essendon. So he may take a hit, but I still think he's 80 plus guy. At Gold Coast, though, who do you think takes over on the wing there? Because that's a pretty prominent role.
Yep. I've got a few things. I think, obviously, these academy kids coming in. Like, Zeke Euland is...
He's a winger, isn't he?
He's a winger.
Like the next Errol Goulden, they're calling him, right?
And I think maybe, they're clearing some of these guys out. Maybe he just slots into a wing.
Yeah.
You've also got Took Miller, who I think can play wing, and with his engine... Like, he's done jobs on, like, a Goulden on the wing as a tagger.
And how often do you see, like, once the guys get a bit older, those big body types, your Boaks, your Wards, even, like, David Mundy's, those kind of guys, as they get older, they sit on the wing and they go, all right. So it might open up a hole there as well.
You've got, you've mentioned Clohey.
Closey.
So he's he's the best 22 player really. So
if he's fit,
he's fit. So there's probably 3 options there.
Yeah.
That can play wing, and I think if Took actually does go to a wing, that probably opens up that Petracca, Humphrey mid-time.
Yeah. I actually don't mind the Ulan call, really. I think he probably just slots straight in next season. I think he was injured. He had stress fractures this year or something. So if he's fit and ready to go, but like, you know, we looked at players like Caleb Windsor and thought he would be a good player straight up, goes on the wing and, you know, doesn't do anything. So tread with caution, I guess, a bit there. But I don't mind that, especially if he's the one that's kind of likened to, if Ulan's the one who's likened to Errol Goulden. So might be interesting. Connor Butterick to the Western Bulldogs. Doesn't really affect things too much at Gold Coast. Like, he wasn't really relevant until Rioli got injured. Then he started playing that halfback distributor role. He played forward probably a bit too much for my liking. Looking at his role at Western Bulldogs, though, like, he's pretty much locked into a halfback role, I think. Like, I think he could probably replace Bramble straight away if they wanted to not go the Johannesson, if they wanted to still use Johannesson on the halfback. Like, I think he's basically like a better version of Bramble in that role. Because he can defend, but he's also got good ball use as well. So I think he could be that good hybrid where you've got someone like Bailey Dale, who's the kind of key distributor off halfback. I think he could be on the other side playing that kind of more defensive role, but still doing enough of it to actually
and distribute as well. He'll be listed as a forward next year.
Yeah.
So I actually really like him as a bit of depth, as a you know F5, F4 area. Yeah. And hopefully, like you said, he might play defensive, but he might play a bit attacking. Maybe he gets 1 or 2 kickouts. You know, or that he's a receiver of that. Yeah. Maybe he can go a 65, 70 average. Yeah. That you can play in your forward line.
No, I agree. I think Western Bulldogs still looked pretty keen to play Johannesson last season. Like, he only played the 1 VFL game. Like, he played 16 AFL games, but he was injured for the rest of it type thing. But every time he was fit, he pretty much came straight back in. I just wonder if he's the replacement for him, because he's getting on a bit. He's also injury prone. So I reckon Butterick as a forward is going to be a pretty good option. Will Hayward to Carlton. I don't think it changes much for his fantasy scoring. I think maybe he gets that new club bump. Maybe he could push into a mid-60s, maybe low 70s type thing, but I just doubt it. I think him and Hayward and Ainsworth, on that, those kind of half-forward lines are going to be pretty... It's not going to be bad for Carlton, I don't think.
They're good players.
Yeah, and you think about it, they've still got Harry Mackay. Isn't he a Coleman medalist? Yep. He's a Coleman medalist. Yep. He really got going once Curnow was out last year.
Sometimes games to the back ends.
Yeah, I think sometimes if you rebalance with a couple of quality smaller guys or medium-sized guys, it could be okay for Carlton. But I just don't see Hayward really getting a bump, and I don't see anything really changing at Sydney. Maybe with Rosas going into the side or something like that. But Charlie Curnow to Sydney though, going the other way. I think he returns to So he's been a pretty consistent 70s guy, 70, 75 kind of guy in the past. And he had an 80-plus season, I think, 2 years ago. But I think just with better supply going inside 50, he could return to his absolute best and be the kind of 70 to 80 kind of guy that he once was. Even if you look at this season, it was one of his worst seasons last year. But there was just injuries. He was subbed out quarter time of that West Coast game where he was supposed to go big. There was one, he rolled his ankle the final quarter and they just benched him for the rest of the game. He was going 70s without kicking a goal in some games. Or even in those, I remember that game where he rolled his ankle and came off. He was on track for a ton in that game, as well. He would have gone okay. It's just that Carlton sucked was probably the biggest issue. So I think he goes back to 75 average in 2026. I've got him on a list and it's kind of
I agree with you.
It's kind of do I keep an 80 average mid or do I keep a 75 average forward in Curnow? What do you think?
So you've got because your 80 mids are your Warple types.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I've probably got someone Warple probably doesn't make the cut. It's more I'd be thinking of players let's have a look at my midfield here. Someone like Durham. Does he go any better next season? He's your 80 type, or am I better off keeping a Curnow who's going to go 75 but have forward status? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it depends how many forwards. If you've got no forwards or 1 or 2, maybe you do need to keep him just for a bit of depth.
Because McRae, Parker, those guys.
Yeah, and Parker I don't think will have forward status. So really, you haven't actually got any.
I've got Cameron.
Oh, Cameron, yep. So you probably keep Cameron and. Yeah, I think you could keep Curnow.
Yeah, I think so as well. You got to keep once you're not drafting 4 forwards.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is a massive get for Sydney. Obviously, they paid a lot for him.
Yeah.
But Sydney need this almost puts them back into finals contention and it's massive. And as you said, there's supply. Like a fit Errol Goulden this year as well, not from last year, kicking it to Curnow.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna. It's hard to not see him kicking a few bags on a few good days.
I think like Amadi his days might be numbered. Not that it's very fantasy relevant, but I feel like Cox kind of just got sick of him towards the end. So that might be a big issue. We saw Jack Buller go to Collingwood as well, which kind of changes things a bit. But like they got so many key forwards, but he's the best one of the lot. At Carlton, we mentioned it before, but Harry Mackay is going to go huge, I think, this season. We saw it at the back end of last season when he was out. But he's almost in keeper territory, I think, as well. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, he's if he can continue what he did, I think he was turning up for a few weeks in a row.
Yeah, and I think he's been close to an 80 guy in the past as well. That Brownlow year, I reckon Harry Mackay. Oops, I clicked on Harry Lemmy here. I reckon Harry Mackay has been close to an 80 average before. Let me just get the numbers up here. Well, he averaged 78 last season. Yeah, he's averaged 81 in 2024. Like, he could go back to that, I think, 78 last year with injury-affected games and stuff like that. Yeah,
I've been looking at the forwards next year, like from your awesome spreadsheet that you put out for Champion Data end of season.
Yeah.
And I think an 80 average is like in your top 15 forwards.
Yeah.
So... that's like your Thilthorpe, Sam Darcy's, Camerons. They're in that 10 to 15 range.
Key forwards are back in fantasy. So like they actually are.
If you put Mackay in there and Curnow, that you've got a top 15 forward.
I guess like when you say key forwards are back, it's like back in the day, like your Jonathan Browns, your Nick Rewalts, they would ton up like each week type thing because they'd be kicking bags. You have to temper your expectations that like an 80 is like the new 100 for a forward type thing. But anyway.
But it's awesome.
Yeah. It's fun to have them in your team.
I reckon you'll have a lot of fun with Curnow on your side.
I reckon so as well. It'd be fun to watch. All right, Jack Steele to Melbourne is the next one. So, yeah, St Kilda, like I think Flanders slots into that midfield. Philippou comes back. I reckon like they'll use Philippou and Max Hall in like a forward mid rotation because they used that a little bit last season. I think Windhager is the biggest beneficiary for Steele. I think Windhager could push to 100 average.
Really?
Like if he's the tackle guy, like even Steele, his average was pretty close to 100 last season, wasn't it? It was 95. Maybe not 100, but maybe into the 90s.
Jeez, that's a massive call.
Well, I think just more so that he becomes 100% midfielder. Like, 'cause last year he was still chopping out the first half of the season. And Windhager was a pretty consistent guy, towards the end. And I think like he just picks up maybe 2 or 3 extra tackles per game playing that kind of...
He plays that defensive tag
role.
that
sort of role, yeah. Well, it's not even that tagging anymore, though. It's more just like...
defensive.
A defensive kind of role.
I think Philippou's going to be... If he's fit, I think Ross really wants to get him in there as that big body. But he's got to get fit.
Yeah,
it's been like 2 years now.
Yeah, keeps getting injured.
Windhager is... Yeah, Windhager's good.
He averaged 82 last season. So to push to like a 95, like I said, it's 3 tackles per game. And that gets him up there. And I reckon he probably gets that with Steele out. He's not going to have those weird games where he goes to halfback and tags someone. He's just full-time mid now. That's my
How would Kays feel about you?
I feel very vindicated about that, yeah. Like if you look at from round 17 onwards, like 108, 128, 90, 82, 67 in there, but only 1 score under 80 over the last, or 2 scores under 80 over the last, from round 17 onwards. So
interesting.
I think he can kind of go next level.
On Steele, I think him at Melbourne is actually a good pick, and I think I
was so keen on Harvey Langford, just such a big breakout. But yeah,
I think Steele goes because I think like you said to 96. I think he can go back to over 100 plus average. At
probably.
Melbourne.
Like he would just be given like a rein in there, like free rein, just be tackle machine again. He won't be pushed forward for a whole game like he was other times. Like
it's going to probably be Viney.
Subbed.
Yeah,
like, he's not going to be him and Viney just going to be like the Bash Brothers.
Viney, Steele.
Yeah.
Pickett,
yeah.
Then you probably roll your Langford, Windsor types,
that sort of stuff. Yeah, I had this whole show doc was basically like how good's Langford going to be until this happened. So yeah. Anyway, Petracca to the Gold Coast. So yeah, recruited I reckon to play that kind of Dusty Martin kind of role for Dimmer. I think, and he loves those kind of players. He should be a top 3 forward in the comp from now on. I think, like year on year, because I think he'll keep forward status like from years where
he should be 90 at least.
Yeah,
so you think that's his worst?
Correct. Like guys like Flanders, I think will lose forward status after year 1. Maybe even Sheasel might play too much midfield, might go defence. But I think Chris Petracca is forward and mid, and I think forward midfielder like split.
And he's behind Rao Anderson.
Yeah, correct. So he's going to get pushed out, but he'll still be a 90 guy because he'll kick goals. He'll be in a winning side that's contending for a flag, like all that sort of stuff. Exactly what Dusty Martin was. And I think you can kind of plug in and repeat his scores like Dusty Martin's type of scoring in a Petracca, for Christian Petracca going forward. But yeah, Melbourne, we talked about Langford. Maybe, I think Trent Rivers is probably full-time. I think he's already listed as a mid only in the champion data stuff.
Okay. I think, yeah, I was keen on Rivers. I think Steele coming in now is just sort of changes that a bit. Because I think they're similar.
Yeah.
I think Rivers, be interesting. Maybe he can still sneak that defender.
Yeah.
Maybe defender mid.
Even with Steele coming in, they're still like a mid down because Oliver's gone. You know what I mean? So someone else slots in. I'm just going to double check that Rivers data, but I'm pretty sure that is the case that he is. Oh no, sorry, medium defender. My bad. So he does duff total. So maybe he does stay across that half back line. Cosy Pickett will play that, as you mentioned, that forward mid role again, but maybe even a little bit more mid with Petracca gone. I reckon the numbers, whatever Petracca's split was, will be Cosy Pickett's split now. Moving on to Clayton Oliver to GWS. It's great for Oliver to get out of Melbourne and all that sort of stuff. I know that he wasn't really, wanted there or whatever, but I'm not sure he ever actually gets back to his fantasy heights regardless of the move. Green and Callaghan are obviously that 1-2 punch, and they've actually probably been screaming out for that third string guy, the kind of role that, say, like Viney plays at Melbourne previously, to be the kind of in and under tackle guy distributor, or get it out from under packs and that sort of stuff, or lock it in for ball ups and that sort of stuff. And I think he's kind of like Roe Bottom is at Sydney as well, not the fantasy guy, but the really solid midfielder. And I think Clayton Oliver becomes that guy at GWS. So I think he's just like an 80 guy now.
Yep.
And
I agree. He's going to be the third guy. I think Kelly is the one. He was out. He's out most of next year, so they've identified we need some depth there.
Yeah.
I think it could have hindered Green though.
Yeah.
I think Callaghan is.
They do play kind of similar. Callaghan is the fantasy kind of type.
And we saw Callaghan post-buy go over 100.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to benefit from having Oliver in the side. And maybe Green takes a hit of those tackles and a few of those defensive things. Yeah,
I don't mind that take. The other, I've forgotten his name now, the kid that kind of played a bit of midfield and forward, Rouston, probably takes a bit of a dive. You thought he would kind of step up a bit more this year as well. So that's probably a bit harmful there, but I still think long term, I think Rouston's probably going to get forward status eventually. Yeah. It'd be pretty handy for people. And
Darcy Jones did the ACL, so there's room there for a mid. Yeah, definitely. And that's why they've targeted him. So
Patrick Retschko to Richmond. I thought it was Restreco for ages until I actually looked at how it was spelt.
I was listening to Trade Radio, I was driving, and this name came up, and there was a trade, and I was just like, who is that?
The only reason I know is because I write a VFL State League scores each week, and sometimes his name pops up as some of the better scorers of the week. So he's 186 midfielder, so he's not super tall, averaged 77 in the VFL, got a good tank apparently, but that's basically all I know about him. Playing for Richmond, maybe pick him up with your last pick of the draft and see how he goes, and hopefully he can break out or something. But yeah, not for me. We already mentioned Jack Buller went to Collingwood. He just slots in as the Myercheck replacement. Probably not fantasy relevant. What about Ugle Hagen to Gold Coast?
Yeah, we're just going to see if he can actually put a good preseason together and play. I think obviously they've targeted him with a massive upside if it works out. Yeah, and I do think obviously Ben King is the main guy, and Ugle Hagen could be that second guy, which could help hinder some of the other guys like a Walter. But also there's so much to go under the bridge of his preseason, getting back on the park. So a lot to go there, but it could work out. I think he averaged 60 or something in the 2024 year. So maybe,
and had some good games in there, some good 70s and 80s, that sort of stuff as well. But probably not. I think the nature of it, he's taken a huge pay cut, $250K to go there, 1 year deal. Yep. The nature of it is you've got to earn your stripes here. Yep. And that's what you're gambling on for someone to maybe average a 70 one day type thing. It's probably not worth it for me, especially because I think Jed Walter is going to come on in the next season or two.
Did you see his sprint at the grand final?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with King in the side, who's already runner-up in the Coleman or very close to, I just don't see it happening. And I think Ben Long is just it suits
Ben Long's good.
It complements the other two way better. So not a huge on Jamara, but we'll wait and see. Finbar Maley to Adelaide. It's a weird one. I think like the North Melbourne supporters loved him. Like I know he wasn't in their best 22 a lot, but I know they've got McAndrew on their list. Theothorpe is a backup ruck. I don't even know why we're spending time talking about this. It's not going to be fantasy relevant. Maybe Rob's gone. I don't know. Like even though he just signed another 2-year deal or whatever.
Just a bit of depth, I think.
Yeah, probably just a bit of depth. I think Strawn was delisted, so probably just getting some tall guy who could play ruck if they somehow get into a situation where 3 rucks do get injured or something like that. Jai Sarong went to Sydney, listed as a key defender on the champion data stuff. Average 89 in the VFL. Did he play a game this season? I don't think he did.
Don't think he did.
Yeah. So I'm not expecting too much.
I think he might play at Sydney.
I think he might play because they do need an extra key defender. I feel like they've wanted to move Rampy on for a while, and he could probably play a pretty similar role if he comes in. But yeah, I'm not expecting anything from a fantasy perspective. Oliver Florent to Carlton, like we said it before, they've just been crying out for wingers. I think he gets that new club bump though, plays on the wing and gets a 75 average this season, which could be handy. I think he's going to be listed as a mid only.
Yep. Maybe that
Sydney,
M7 sort of slot.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Keeper.
Maybe even bench, but still, still might be better than what he was at Sydney anyway. And I'm just glad Jake Lloyd's now got less competition for a spot because he was usually those two fighting for that last. And I remember
you were texting me like, "Oh, is Lloyd going to sign a deal?"
Yeah.
I think he signed a 1-year deal.
I think
and now
Lloyd are probably
out.
still going to drop back to the pool, but it was more so for the grand final.
Yeah.
In my keeper league, I needed because Lloyd scored like 96 or something in the grand final week, so it was like perfect for me. But I just needed him playing and not Florent coming in to replace him. I was so worried about that. But anyway, in the last one of the last trade I've got here is Chenku Jarth to Melbourne. So I've given up on Jarth as a fantasy scorer really, but McVie out does kind of open that defensive spot for him to come straight in. But with Bowie and Salem back there, I just don't see a world where he can score consistently. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's sort of McVie out, CJ in, which is good for Melbourne. Bit more depth. Best 22 player, but fantasy wise, he could play wing as well. Bit of both. But probably not one I'm targeting really.
Yeah, I've got a few here that I seem to have missed. I must have deleted them from the doc by accident. What was the other one? I know. Did we talk about Will Hayward? No, we did, didn't we? We talked about these. No, we're good. Cool. All right. Haven't missed any. Got a few questions to get through, and then we'll wrap it up there. All right. Bloody13 asks, will Petracca retain his forward status? We've had a look at that.
Yep, he does.
He does. He will.
Basically, those last few games of the year where he's playing more forward, that ticked him over.
Yeah.
Because I think I was checking it around 18 or something. He was only mid-only. Yeah. And then he's flicked over to that.
So the reason why we say this with such confidence is those champion data classifications are generally quite accurate. Like people seem to never get this because they don't read the article above it. But like you'll never see ruck forward on there. Like you'll never see mid-def.
Defender.
You'll never see def forward. But if someone's listed as a midfielder forward, they would I think all of 100% of them last year were put in as
like you put out Horn Francis and all these sides and it was like, oh wow, but it was accurate.
Yeah, correct. Like they were 100% right last year. Even like the weird ones like Perkins, who only played forward but was listed as a midfielder in the champion data stuff, was a mid only at the start of the season. Like it was, it's weird. So they're generally pretty good. The only other thing I will say, like, champion data AFL Fantasy might take the criticisms about that on board and actually go through and individually do them. Like that could happen at some stage. So who knows?
Yes.
But if things go the same way as they did last year, Petracca will be a forward. That's the kind of way we're looking at it. Matt Roach, is Bailey Humphrey worth keeping now that he's staying at Gold Coast and Petracca is joining them?
This is an interesting one. I'm in a 12. I keep 12 in my keeper.
Yep.
I've got Humphrey on my list. He's probably about my 15th, 16th guy. I'm probably dropping him.
Yeah.
But if he was going to get a trade to Melbourne or something, I probably would have kept him for that mid-time.
Definitely.
But he'll potentially might get a trade next year.
Yeah.
Back home. So it's like, if you can, I would keep him because I think it's coming.
Yeah.
But I think depends how big your list size is.
If you're contending, it's very hard to keep him. And you're I'm saying 12 keepers, very hard to kind of justify a player like that. But definitely still a very handy stash option for your dynasty, like ones you'd be hanging on to there, I think.
Eventually he's going to play mid, you'd think, or a
100%. That's where he's got to go. And I reckon it's just really like Took Miller and Petracca, when those guys are gone, like he goes. But I don't think he stays at Gold Coast at all.
Yeah.
I think he wants to get back to Victoria somehow. The man from Maui.
Yep.
Sean Doe Show says, what player on the same list now becomes relevant after all the moves? For me, it's Mackay and Windhager. I always say that wrong. They're the two I think we'll see bumps this year.
I'm going to put my chips in Josh Ward still, just with the Warple Warple news.
And no merit.
And no merit. They didn't get him. So I think and probably Langford as well, I think.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
Without
Petracca and
Obler.
Yeah, not bad. Matt6661 says TDK surely getting forward status next year. Played 50% of the year there. I looked at his CBA, 66% CBAs, which means it's basically impossible to get forward status. But I think he gets it mid-season.
Yeah, or one of them, maybe Marshall.
Yeah, Marshall.
Probably more Marshall.
Maybe, yeah, true. Unless they both roll 50-50, which they could.
The thing is, Marshall, you get this forward status. Then if he asks for a trade again next year, then he's going to be relevant again.
Yeah, I don't know. But if you looked at Carlton, they brought Pitnet in and played TDK forward every now and then. He is actually still a forward. So that's my thinking. They both. To be honest, I'd rather have TDK forward. I think he's better run, mark, jump, take a mark, kind of go inside forward 50. But the thing, the changes to the ruck rules as well means maybe these athletic rucks are probably a bit more relevant as well, and maybe you need the lumbering
targeted.
Yeah, so who knows? AFL Keeper Corner asks, draftees you're big on, underrated smokies, and ones you're fading for keeper league purposes. Do you know who I'm fading? This could be controversial. Willem Dersma.
The number one pick.
Yeah. I watch his highlights and I just see Xavier.
Do you?
Yeah, I just see Xavier, floating across halfback, early Xavier, taking those marks across halfback. Pretty much every possession he gets on, thinking the under 18 champs highlights is on the outside. Yep. Not all of them, but there are a lot on the outside. And he just strikes me, he looks like the same. I just see him getting stuck on a wing. That's just, I don't know. And Dersma had good early numbers. Even Zane Dersma had awesome underage numbers as well. And they just never end up as midfielders. I just don't think Dersma's are inside mids.
Yep.
They play wingers. They're all wingers.
They probably just have to, he apparently, because he can play everywhere, he's probably got too many strings.
But Zane Dersma was the same as a junior. He played he started on the wing and then played inside mid for the whole game. He just did that sort of stuff. But then could go forward and kick goals. I think he's even listed as a forward now.
Yeah.
I just see him being the exact same as a Dersma and being an 80 guy. And that's his kind of ceiling. That's probably controversial, but that's the way I see it. In terms of smokies, underrated smokies, there's a few I like. So Lockie Carmichael is one. He put up good numbers across the board, under 18 champs, VFL, Talent League. I think he had 100 in the Talent League, 100 in champs. I think he was even in the VFL, he was scoring 80s. So he could be one. There's another guy, Thomas Burton, who averaged 109 in the Talent League, which is pretty huge. But yeah, they're probably the ones that I'm looking at, the smokies that I'm looking at. And then the ones I'm big on, probably the main style, Arnable, Ewland.
I think Ewland will hopefully play that wing role. You can pick him up and hopefully play. Whereas Arnable has to come into that side of the Brisbane Premiership side.
Yeah. I think Dylan Patterson, can be that halfback kind of distributor kind of guy as well. Could be a good fantasy type. He's probably not talked about as much as the others as well. So, but we will do. I'll get Matty to center on.
Yeah.
He's all over the rookies, and we'll do a rookie show after the draft and try to get all the good fantasy ones. Should we mention that Matty has a new job? Is that common knowledge? Would he mind us telling people?
I think it's
maybe we'll let him just say.
Yeah, maybe let him say
on the next show.
But yeah, things in the works.
Yeah. And then Andy Thomas. Was that an astronaut? I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
If you have Stanley, Sidebottom, Blitzarves, Duncan, Cripps, Parker, Treloar, Mitchell, Wood, Lloyd, Elijah Hollands, Hobbs, do you give up?
Well, he's got Treloar. And I think...
Treloar forward status next season.
I think that's a piece you could use as a trade.
Yeah.
If you want players to redo your list, I think Treloar could be relevant.
Yeah.
And then even Mason Wood's a forward, he's probably
I would legit be trading all of these guys for whatever pick you can get and just try to rebuild. And you'll be shit next season. You'll get the number one pick though, and you can go from there. It's probably the best way to go about it. Just fast track that shitness, really.
Try and flick Treloar off. To
Lloyd
someone.
might fetch something for a contender as backup, or bench option. You could have worse options. He'll have a farewell game. Did he sign a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal?
I think it was. I feel like it could have been 2.
Yeah,
maybe it was.
Let me look it up.
Jake
Lloyd deal has signed it. That's not right. That's ages ago. We'll look it up later. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, if it's a 1 year deal, you could get a Lloyd retirement game at the end of the year, so which is. But I have a feeling you're right, it's 2 as well. Anyways, I think we will wrap it up there. If you're heading on the train to Perth, is that where it is?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
today. Say good day to Jordy on there. But yeah, if not, you just catch him at a gig around Adelaide. He seems to play everywhere every weekend, so good to see.
Yep.
And get around our stuff at Keeper League Pod on all of the socials. Check it out. We'll have a video version of this one up at some stage as well if you want to watch us there, and give us a subscribe there. Getting pretty close to 1,000 followers. Actually, probably getting close to 700, but it'd be good to get that one up there. And if you want to support the show, please sign up as a member. Follow Jordy at Jordy DeSena. And I think that's it. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Good to talk fantasy again.
That's it. We'll probably be back next month after the draft, and that'll be the next episode. And then pretty much after that, we're back into preseason. So exciting times. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.